All right. Peace and love, world. Welcome to an episode of Conversation with Zoe. Today, man, it's a day that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm very happy that I get to say that a lot because we've had a lot of people on this show that mean a lot to me. Today, we taking the Bronx Express to L.E.S. L.E.S. it has a big place in my heart, and this is someone here who is a very, very special human being. He's the GOAT. He's the real GOAT. You know what I'm saying? And somebody that he needs to be acknowledged and celebrated, and he's here. We have Antonio Aponte, Lower East Side, born and raised with Puerto Rican roots. Moses Brown Prep School in Providence, Rhode Island. Boys Club in New York. Syracuse University. President and founder of the Latino College Expo and Leadership Summit. 30 plus years in assisting families in navigating their secondary and post-secondary journey in a practical and holistic manner. Antonio, how you doing, Aponte? How you feel?
I feel great. Gracias.
Absolutely. How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a busy time. It's always when you work with young people.
Right.
But I'm feeling good. I'm getting still busy. I failed to say my new chapter is founder and partner with my partner of Pivotal Moments Unlimited, LLC, which I think that kind of embodies the work that I've done over the years, creating pivotal moments for young people that really change their lives.
Right.
And I think that's when I reflect, getting to that point in my life when I'm starting to reflect more.
Right.
As I'm probably going to enter my third chapter. And I've realized, someone like yourself, and not to exaggerate, thousands of people.
It's thousands for sure.
That I've had the opportunity with my other team members at the time. Mr. Mitchell, I'm always going to give him props. But together and lately, the work that I do, just impacting and providing pivotal moments for young people to maybe wake up and maybe just get that chance, and then they run through it and get to the goal line, and to know that you gave them the ball and pushed them along, it's quite rewarding.
Right. That's beautiful. So, as a man that's so, you're very passionate about what you do, we got to give you your flowers here in real time. You know what I'm saying? So, I have a few personal messages that were shared by some BCNY staff members and alums to me. So, definitely shout out to my loved ones. So two conversation with Zoe alums. So we're gonna start off with Manny Maldonado. Say no more. Antonio Aponte is a man who truly loves his people, his neighborhood, his culture, and his country. What stands out most is his deep belief in young people and his unwavering commitment to education as a pathway to transformation. Tony doesn't just lead, he shows up with wisdom, integrity, and a willingness to pour out this time, knowledge, and resources for the benefits of others. From the impact of the Latino College Expo to his leadership within the Boys Club in New York to now the director in the South Bronx, his life reflects a consistent investment in the next generation. I'm grateful for his friendship, inspired by his example, and proud to celebrate the incredible impact he continues to make. Much love and respect always, Manny. Right, shout out to my guy. We got rolling up. We got Sean Atkins. Antonio's passion for creating access for young people is unmatched. His work with the Latino College Expo is powerful and innovative. Tony has been putting in work for close to 40 years. At BCNY, he has helped foster the development of countless young men over the years. He's a pioneer, maverick, and a champion for hope and community. Lastly, I love you, Tony. You believed in me when not many people did and gave me strength and confidence. I owe much of my success and growth to you. BCNY, L.E.S. show love, gratitude, and passion for Antonio Aponte. Ya tú sabes. You know what I mean? And this one right here is fresh off the press. This is my brother right here, Vinny Torres. You know what I mean? Shout out to my guy, the Torres family.
Beautiful family.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honored to be included in this chat full of individuals who have dedicated their lives to supporting and uplifting the youth through athletics, academics, and so much more. Props to everyone here. Real deal legends. I will forever be a proud member of the program services provided by Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Aponte at BCNY. Truly grateful. Words for Aponte. I would describe Aponte's life work as inspirational, a product of boarding school. He has devoted his time and energy to providing the same opportunity to young individuals, giving back to his people and his community, not for the glorification, but for the passion and desire he has to want to see other individuals succeed. His commitment is unmatched, and he is still going full force to this day, 30 years in, no end in sight. He's been the type of individual people aspire to be. Vinny Torres Jr., you know, and you know, we gotta, this is the Mariano right here. You know who's coming. Mr. Bill Mitchell. Shout out to 360 Sports. Man. You know, this is my guy, man. You know, what's up, Zoe? Antonio and I had an amazing run together at BCNY. We might not even be finished working together. What's so incredible is that everyone in this chat, along with thousands of other young men, has been impacted by Antonio. What Manny Maldonado said is truly true. He leads with integrity, a never give up mentality, and a deep love and care for underserved youth. From the BCNY academic all-stars, high school prep basketball, baseball, and even salsa dancing to the Parents Association, Latino College Expo, and more. It was an incredible one. We impacted thousands of youth and helped place them in top high schools and colleges with love and respect. Well-deserved, Antonio.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
No words. I mean, I love all those guys.
Right.
I love
Me too.
all 1,000 of them, but these guys that you selected and hearing what they say, because I know their story.
Right.
And especially, you know, Bill, with all the work we've done together. And, you know, and almost like any marriage, you have ups and downs, you know.
Right.
But we were always committed to the work and always committed to each other and respected each other's work. To Sean, and seeing his growth from L.E.S. and now becoming such a leader in the field of access as a director of a wonderful institution that you know well. That you know well. To Manny, whose passion and spirituality continues to drive him and support all the youth. And to Vinny, the young blood, you know, the newest guy who we started working together and talking a lot. And his father's a wonderful man, and his brother Chris, and it's just amazing. This is what it's all about, and you don't realize it. Like I said, it's not done for the glory. You just do it for the moment because you know you play a pivotal role in that young person's moment at that time.
Right.
You never know what the years later will be, but to know that that was the first, maybe not the first, but a real foundation and springboard.
Right.
Because everyone just needs a chance. Everyone needs someone to believe you. Everyone just needs someone to listen. And that's, I've been blessed.
Yeah, truly blessed. And we truly thank you. And I sent that text out at 2:28 today. So just let you know how guys feel about you and how they pulled up. And I was just doing some last minute homework, you know, on your LinkedIn and Facebook and just going through some things. And I was like, oh, wow, like this is something that I've always done. Like I love doing this when I interview somebody I know and I get to pull into their circle and, you know, get some personal messages. So, you know, 2026, making it happen, boarding school fair, Manhattan Business Academy, 351 West 18th Street, NYC, Wednesday, May 13th from 4:30 to 7 p.m.
Yes, it's a way of giving back and keeping those doors open of information and exposure.
Yes.
Because I think our youth need exposure and our families need exposure. You have different beliefs of what boarding school is, and you know, those that don't know, mi nene es malo, yo lo quiero mandar. No, nene es bueno.
Right.
Y esa es la oportunidad que él puede tener.
Sí.
And that's the opportunity he or she, because I also do help girls.
Right.
And this is just an event that we were doing years ago, but they stopped doing it. But I've supported other programs at making it happen. They asked me to help them, and I've helped them to endorse it, to give them a model similar to what I've done with the Expo. I've become pretty versed in creating events over the years. And I'm very passionate about independent school. So that's important to me. It's not the only choice.
Right.
Kids will have to find their right match. It can be South Bronx High School. It can be Stuyvesant High School. It can be, you know, Cardinal Hayes. But it could also be a boarding school.
Right.
You know, let know about everything and then decide. Mm-hmm. And that's really, I'm really focused on letting families know about everything, because especially parents. Right. You would not have gone if mommy said no.
Right.
You know,
I wouldn't have gone.
Well, you know, and God bless mommy, like my
Right.
mommy in heaven, you know.
Right.
But you would not have gone if an adult figure in your life didn't approve of it.
Right. So it's funny because my story was influenced by Pee Wee. Shout out to Pee Wee, Rob's father, and Bill. So my parents, it was really my choice. They had no idea.
Right.
Right. And I'm going through the process, and once they were really sold by, they didn't have to pay. They were like, hold on, because they paid at O'Hallows.
Right.
And they paid $5,900 less. They paid $100 at Suffield. You know what I'm saying? They were paying $6,000, $6,500, something like that a year.
Right.
So they were like, wait, hold on, it's better. And then when they went, they were like, whoa, like,
Right.
you know, look where baseball and Bill and Antonio
Yeah.
and Pee Wee, you know, so who you choose to follow as a youth, like, you know, it really matters because the people around you really have a huge influence and an impact on your life.
No, I agree, but you know, I still give props to families because they still are your guardians.
Absolutely.
And I'm similar story to me. You know, I was going to the clubhouse when I was young,
Right.
and someone believed me from the basketball coach at the time,
Right.
and brought me up to the gentleman who was doing that work.
Right.
And Mr. Sikoriak, and my shout outs to him always. And Polish, Irish, you know, gentleman from back in the day, and he spoke to my parents, and they said yes. My parents knew. This is 1970s, just to age myself, but it is 1970s. Different time in L.E.S.
Right.
Very, very, very beautiful time, though, because of the creativity, because I'm very influenced by arts and creativity. But also there was the danger of drugs. Not to find cliche, but it was very rampant then.
Right.
And my mom saw that I need to get this boy out of here, you know, and I'm going to say yes to send him to boarding school, let him get out of here at a pivotal time, those formative years of 12, 13, 14,
Right.
when we start, you know, getting influence a lot greater, and there's more to lose because we're not little babies, little 5-year-olds.
Right.
You know, now we're adults, young adults. And she and my dad said yes, and that's changed my life.
Right.
Changed my life forever. But I still was Puerto Rican, became a prep school kid, but I was always from the Lower East Side, and I never, ever, ever forgot that, and to this day will never, ever forget that.
Right. So, pivotal moments are life-changing, and the opportunity to learn about this option of high school choice can be transformative. Please share with all your family, students, student athletes, artists, coaches, middle schools, and educators to attend and learn about the benefits of this option, open to all boys and girls. Right? So, just going into a little bit of your background and your story, how would you describe your childhood?
You know, I want to say my childhood was kind of sheltered in the beginning, and it had to be. It was bad. You know, I mean, not that it was. It was. There were a lot of landmines.
Right.
You know, and I couldn't really go out as much. It's not that my parents were protective. You know, I can't just go out and walk and hang out on the corner streets and walk. You know, and after school they would meet me and walk me back home because it was just that bad. You know, I mean, I would get walked home. I hate to sound cliche, but it was life. We're talking 1970.
Yes.
Man. I mean, I used to be an altar boy, and I used to leave in the morning to do the morning mass. And prostitutes would come and say, you know, you want me to walk you to school? You know, things like that, and just people just nodding in the corner. I know it sounds cliche, but it was the life that I lived, and and I'll never change it. I'll tell you right now, I'll never change it. But then I discovered a place that was a safe haven, and then my mother and my father let me go there. Right. Now I was able to go to a place, feel free, feel safe. They felt freer and safe. I don't know if because I didn't know the difference too much. It's not like I felt scared when I was younger, but they felt safer and more comfortable letting me go there and hang out. And then I started spreading my wings a bit, and then I started getting some more confidence. All of a sudden, I discovered that I was pretty good in basketball, you know, and a pretty artistic, and so that kind of elevated me to really find my voice and find a little bit more confidence. Because I think everyone has confidence, but sometimes they're sheltered because they can't really express it. Mm-hmm. And so that was my childhood at the time. Prior to that, I grew up with obviously my two sisters. It was the three of us. You know, I was the oldest. So small family. You know, my mom and my dad, and my dad came to the States, 3 years before to get himself established, and brought my mom over, and then we moved to the Lower East Side. right there where my sister still lives, right on 13th Street between 2nd and 3rd. And at that time, it was more like being on Avenue D.
Right.
Now it's really trendy. It's
Yeah.
all L.E.S. is becoming. But it was a place to be, and I loved it. And it was a very famous block.
Right.
I mean, they actually Taxi Driver was filmed there in my apartment.
Oh, wow.
And Our Latin Thing, which is a really documentary about salsa music, was done right on my block, right across the street. I feel I was around a lot of creative artists and New York poets. And I talk about that a lot because I am a creative educator.
Right.
I just believe in the arts and how you can find your voice, find your strength, and connect with people. That's just very important.
Right. So I want to go to Moses Brown.
Huh.
Like, what was your first week there like? Like, what was, all right, when you got in the car, how'd you get there? How'd you get there?
Yeah.
Did you drive, take the train, bus?
Yeah.
How'd you get to Moses Brown the first time? And then how was your first week?
Yeah, my mother and my father, with my uncle, drove me. And my uncle stayed in the car most of the time. And they took me there. That was my first day. I already got accepted, so this is where I was going.
Yeah.
And they took me there, and they brought me into the big building, and I always knew that building because it had a bird room, like a room with all these birds. And I just waited. The lady came down, hey, welcome, said hi to my parents, and then they, it was time to go, and then they left. And I said bye, and I looked at them outside the door of this mansion that used to be the home of Moses Brown, a Quaker, and I saw them get in the car and pull away, and even now thinking about it again, tears came out of my eyes.
Same here.
They're actually leaving.
Right.
I'm actually here now in Rhode Island. 3 hours away, and it was a little moment there where I was just like, I just got sad. And then I walked back, and they let me into the auditorium. And there were about 70 other boarders there. Yeah. And I kind of just felt at home. I felt like I had a bunch of brothers then. Everybody was doing the same. Everybody is going to be living there, and kids from all over the world. And then it just morphed from there. And again, I had space to discover different passions. Right. Play football. I'm not going to play football on 13th Street and 2nd and 3rd with pads and everything. Yeah. Basketball became really good. Really good. And then ran track, threw the discus. Was going to throw the discus in New York at that time. Right. I just got to do a lot of things. It was an all boys school at the time. But it was probably the best all boys school around because it was in Providence, Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. So I had the town of Providence. When you had the free few hours I can walk to town. I had the public school there. I had Brown University there. I had 2 all girl prep schools right next within walking distance. So I had a social life. Right. And I met 2 of my friends, good friends at the time. One from Hartford, Connecticut. One from the Bronx. He went to DeWitt Clinton, and we really changed the program there for in terms of basketball. They had a first winning season before we came, but then we won the championship 3 years in a row.
Oh wow!
I always remember going down to the hood of Providence. It's like down the hill, Camp Street is called, and it's like the hood. Providence. The hood outside of New York is real hood.
Yeah. It's like you see real poverty.
Yeah. And the basketball court, and we went. The 3 of us went down there, walked down there. They were playing 3-on-3, and we said, "Can we have next?" And I always remember they said, "Sure. Where you from?" We go to Moses Brown. They thought we were like real preppy. Right. And then we started playing ball, and Earl was like 5'9", could throw it down. Henry was like 6'3", lefty from Hartford, and then myself, and we smacked them. Right. And then they say, "You guys ain't from Providence." I said, "No, we go to boarding school." But we established ourselves. But it was nice to kind of, it's almost like can't jump, white man can't jump.
Yeah, can't jump.
You can't think you can't play. They can't play. They don't look like players. Yeah. But then they play. But I had a great time. And 70s, a lot of Italians, a lot of people from all over the world, as always. I really got into the culture, meaning I went for a lot of leadership roles. I became president of different clubs. On the dorm, we created little games just to entertain ourselves. And I had a really nice time in prep school. Unlike maybe some other stories of other kids. For me, I had a really good time.
Right. I think for me, for all kids going to boarding school, you got to embrace it. Like, if you go there with a bad attitude and you kind of rub people the wrong way,
Yeah.
and it makes it tougher
Yeah.
because of the distance and the new people and the random roommate, and like, so I went there with an open heart, but I was also very lucky. Like, so my dorm, what do you say? Not RA, you could say like that.
Yeah,
Proctor,
right.
my proctor,
Right, yeah.
my proctor, Rashad Bryant, was from the Bronx, and he went to Lehman.
Okay.
So he was a senior. Yeah, he was a senior when I got there. So that was amazing because like it was like cool. Like I got one of us right here.
Right.
Like it was like our door to door.
Right.
And then as far as feeling safe and being able to flourish, that was 100% me. Like I did a tango, like things I would have never ever in my life have done.
Right.
You know, I got to do there, and it was a safe space to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because they embrace like going outside your box and outside your comfort zone. And it's funny. I'll share this. As far as feeling safe, right? So I've been in Bible study for the last 3 months, and it's the 10th month. It's called La Academia in a church called Palabras de Vida uptown, and I'm in the second level now. And the last day of level 1, you know, we had an encounter with the Holy Spirit. And my encounter with the Holy Spirit, it took me back to when I was 8 years old, right? And I was with my little brother, and he had a rock in his sandal. And we were going to the store for my mother. And in the midst of him taking out the rock, a guy grabbed me, and he put a knife to my neck. And so at 8 years old, childhood's over. That's it. Like, this was my dose of reality. I accepted I was going to die, and that was it. And they ended up, my little brother ended up crying and let us go. It was broad daylight at 1 p.m. So the next time I got to be a kid was Self Youth Academy. So I always go back to that time because of the safety. You know, I call it Beverly Hills. You know, I was in, you've seen it. It's beautiful. And coming from the South Bronx, and being able to go to Self Youth Academy was, you know, March 10th just passed. You know, it's a day that changed my life forever. You know, so I was at the New York reception. You know, congratulations to Charlie Can on his next chapter of his life. You know, he's moving on. But it's a beautiful place, and it's a place that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, no, people don't realize that. I mean, it's not for everyone. It was the right place for me at the right time. It's the right match. You know, things happen for a reason, and I to this day, and it's been a while. It's been a long time since I went to prep school.
Right.
It really was the most important moment that made me who I am today and allowed me to grow.
Right.
Because I probably would have been okay because I was a good kid,
Right.
but I would have been more sheltered because my parents were very protective and they wouldn't let me go out as much. They wouldn't, and maybe I would have rebelled and gone out on my own. You know, I'm sure I would have challenged them, but this way it just happened more organically.
Right. Same here.
And in a safe manner, and I was able to really expand. And,
Right. Yeah, I think for me, I would have been totally fine. I had a gun on my shoulders, but I think for who I am today, that needed to happen because I'm not scared to go anywhere. Right. You know, I've interned in DC, lived in the Hamptons for a summer. I went to Austria. So getting out the hood young and early, it was what I needed to never be afraid to go anywhere and show up as myself anywhere I go. Because there's transitions. Like you got your friends back home, then you got your boarding school friends. So when you come back home, you may talk a little, you know, you got to clean yourself up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You got to shift from two worlds. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough because and then you learn to blend them. Right. You know, you learn to mix the styles, and I'm wearing, you know, my khakis and my Jordans, and, you know, but now I'm wearing Sperry's, right? You know, so it's an adjustment, but you need that because you want to walk in every room authentically yourself.
Yeah, but that's why I always prefer, you know, and again, my partner, you know, allowed me to create this phrase describing my journey or maybe some of my aspects of my life, the Puerto Rican Preppy from the Lower East Side. I mean, I've really enjoyed that, and it does really capture. And what I try to tell young people, you know, be proud of who you are, be proud of where you came from, be able to navigate, be able to turn the switch on and off when you have to.
Right.
It's just key. It's key to navigate this world, and you have to. And that taught me how to navigate the world outside of L.E.S.
Right. Absolutely. So, why Syracuse?
You know, I love my friends from Syracuse. I love Syracuse. I got into Middlebury. which is a really nice, great school. And
that's like Baby Ivy, right?
I'm not gonna say I should have gone there, but maybe I should have gone there. I hate saying I shit on myself.
Right.
But I I love Syracuse. So I've had some really great friends. I call them the fellas, and they've been my friends till this day. I had a great time. But at the time, the college advisement that I was getting was not really as appropriate I should have gotten. That's why I take a lot of pride now in guiding kids today to make sure they make the right decision. As good as these prep schools are, they don't know all the different programs that support young men of color and young women of color. The EOPs, the HEOP, the Excelsior Scholarship, the financial aid, just applying for a FAFSA. Right. Prep school kids don't really apply for FAFSA.
Right, that's true.
And I applied to Syracuse that year. I applied because they made it to Final Four the year before. Right. They were in the Final Four, and it was like Syracuse. And then I applied to BU and Middlebury. So I got in because I got into the HEOP program. Right. So I only had to pay maybe $1,000 or maybe not even. Right. And believe it or not, how old I am, Syracuse was about $7,000 a year. It's probably like $97,000 now. It's crazy. But I went there, and it was the only New York school that I applied to, and I got a good financial aid package. And again, I had a really great time. I studied theater and psychology, and made some good friends. Had a great school, great degree, great college life, and that's kind of why I chose it. And again, I would never do it differently. Maybe that when it would have been if I went to Middlebury, I would have probably played ball there. Like Syracuse, right. we had then the varsity wasn't protected. Everyone went to the main gym and played. Right. So we handled ourselves against some of the varsity guys. Right. That if I would have gone somewhere else, so that it would have been different had I played at a.
Or it's even like the Carrier. It's not the Carrier Dome, something like that.
It was the Carrier Dome.
Okay,
at the time.
It used to be. Yeah.
No. It was the Archibald. No, okay. Archibald's where he played. Then it was the Carrier Dome because now it's the Dome now.
It's like the Dome.
It was before the Dome. I forgot what it was called now, but it was a smaller place. I remember going to the games, but it was great. Listen, Syracuse is great. Snow is crazy, but right, yeah. It was great though.
So, what does education mean to you?
It means exposure. It means learning, obviously. But it means exposing you to different lifestyles, different worlds, different information. Learning and education is not only book education; it's also social, economic education, and meeting people from all over the world. I mean, I think my education really elevated. When I went away to school, because then I got to see people from all over different places around the world, and they got to meet me, places like New York City that they never heard of. So I think education is about exposure. That's probably the key thing,
How has music influenced your life?
I love music. I grew up in music. Not that my parents played music a lot, though they did, but I grew up in the Lower East Side. That's music, theater, poetry. I grew up around that, and I always gravitated towards percussion, and salsa, and Afro-Cuban roots and beats. So, like I said, where I grew up, there was a documentary called Our Latin Thing. It was done on my block. Taxi Driver was done on my block. The New Rican poets were down the block. Miguel Piñero, Miguel Algarín, my cousin, who I always pray, and for him, who was 26 and got discovered, and his first play went to Broadway with Robert De Niro, talking about his father. And all of that happened in my building. De Niro sat in my apartment with Martin Scorsese and my cousin to look at a railroad apartment in the Lower East Side to kind of do his studying, because he's a student of the game, and my sisters call me, Robert De Niro sitting in the kitchen table with mommy, and I said, really, and I was in prep school, so I missed that. Yeah. That's the way, but to have that I don't know, so music is very important. My partner, she's very musically inclined. Her father was probably the greatest Latin promoter in the world, named Ralph Mercado, and she does a lot of great works around his legacy. So music is great, man. Music is spiritual, and it frees you. It frees your soul.
Right. That's beautiful. So, just going back to what you have done for thousands of young men and women. So I know me and Robert back in the day, we were trying to go to the same school together, right? You guys are like, nah, he can't. We got to split these two up. But So how do you know what school is the best fit for a child?
You know, it takes time. You know, and Bill can tell you we would have conversations probably. I don't know, Rob and Lorenzo maybe shouldn't go to school together.
Right.
You know, Bill knew
we went to interviews together.
Yeah. And Bill knew you a little bit more because we know everybody, 1,000 kids, 1,000 kids, but we have some that we know a little better than others, but we still collaborate.
Right.
And how do we know? We know over the years of doing it. After a while and doing it so long, like I know I've helped you.
Right.
I meet kids that maybe have some same personalities as you. I know that you succeeded at Suffield, then a school like Suffield would be best for you. I wouldn't put you in Andover or at Exeter. Not saying you couldn't do it, but I know you needed a little bit more freedom, and I think Suffield allowed you to be more yourself.
For sure.
And so we got to find the right match, like I say, and that comes with experience. That comes from the past kids that you've helped, seeing how they survived or didn't.
Right.
And then there's a gut feeling. After a while, you just have a gut feeling.
Right.
It's not even about Andover is one of the top 10 schools. No, it's about the gut feeling that you feel with people, and I think that comes from my theater. And Bill has a theater background as well. So he had that creativity as well, and I think we use that a lot in how we feel a family, talk to a family, feel their soul, their energy, and seeing where that fits at a school. When we look at schools, and I know when I look at schools, I try to sometimes walk and just feel it, just feel the energy. Look at the kids walking and seeing how they are, seeing how they interact. Little things that people don't notice, but I have to notice and I tell students to notice that when they go on a tour. Right. Don't just go for the tour. Break away from the tour when it's over, and don't leave yet. Go take another 15 minutes and walk on your own. Right. And don't because they take you always to the places that they want to take you.
Right. What they want to show you.
Yeah. And, walk on your own and feel it. Look at flyers on the wall. See what they're promoting. See, walk into the dining room, right. And you can't go into the dorms, but walk into the bookstore. Right. But just get a feel and see what the real thing is, or at least for that moment. And so that's how I do it. I look at your personality or any of the young men. I think about the past, and having done it for so long, and I try to select a school. And back then I was blessed, and we were blessed because I visited over 200 schools over my lifetime. And you have to really get dirty if you want to do this type of work.
Right.
You can't just say go here and you've never been to visit a school.
Right.
That's if you're going as a student or if you're working as a person who's going to place you at a school. You got to do your homework too.
Right.
And I've been blessed that when I first started, I was able to go visit so many schools. Yeah, schools have changed, but I got to see many schools.
Right.
And you just got to be a student of the game. And if you're a student of the game, you can teach it better.
Right. Absolutely. So I want to say thank you for giving me my first job ever. And
what was that?
the ISP prep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the day camp.
Oh, yes.
You know
yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes,
and that's a pivotal moment in my life because that was after my freshman year in college.
Okay.
And I came home that summer, and that's when my father started to get sick.
Okay.
So he's like, "Yo, like, you gotta figure it out." You know what I'm saying? Like, you're young now, and that's crazy. I don't know what made me call you, but you were the first person I thought of. The first person. And I was like, "Yo, I just told you, like, yeah, I need a job. Like, I'm home for summer. Like, I got time, and I got to play baseball, so I just need some flexibility with some of my games in the afternoon." And you were like, "Yo, like, come see me." And then you were like, "Yo, like, you could be a counselor in this." And so that led to me working at Camp Cromwell the next year. So I just want to say thank you for that again.
No worries. And I mean, you're a perfect example of, and many, Rob and Vinny and I mean, you've lived it and you're real and you're truthful. And I think kids need to gravitate towards you and you need to understand. And I remember now because I remember we used to go to 111th Street to the park and play.
Right. Yeah.
Because of and I remember playing basketball with you. You were pretty good. You're a big guy.
Right,
Baseball is your sport, but you can play. You moved well.
Thank you for giving me my. You know what I'm saying? People, I take great. I love basketball. I love sports. So I
ever play against Sean and pick up basketball?
Yeah, at Suffield.
Yeah. You two guys are pretty big guys.
Yeah, we had some runs up there for sure. And definitely shout out to Zion. I don't know his last name. I know he went to. Did he go to Morehouse?
Zion.
Shout out. He ran L.E.S Sports. I was on the phone with him yesterday. Zion's a good kid.
Zion shoulders.
There you go.
Okay, that's my guy's shoulders.
So this is the beautiful thing of the book stuff. I met Zion at Camp Cromwell.
I love shows.
Right? And I know Zion to this day. We were on the phone yesterday. He's going to come to my school and shoot some content.
Oh, good.
So definitely shout out to L.E.S Sports. This program that shout out to the Bro Talks that he does. We're going to have a big Bro Talk next month. An event for young men to come out and just have a real conversation.
Oh man, the world's so small, and it happens all the time. And that's when I know, man, I meet so many people, and I remember you know, you helped my, you know, I remember you, and I said, yeah, you helped my son back there. I said, wow, you know,
Right.
it's like, there is a brotherhood that we've created, and there is a certain brotherhood from kids that have gone away to school and lived in the city, because only we know what it meant to us. Only we know what the challenge is. It's not perfect, you know, because you do have to go from one world to the other, and when you're in that world, you know, you fit in. You try to, you know, change up yourself so you can fit in.
Never change.
You know,
you
gotta balance this out. You know, and there are people that have different perceptions of you because you're from New York.
Right.
So you could be the nerdiest kid, all of a sudden you're cool, and you forget that you are. It's okay to be nerdy.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's you can't even explain it. You have to live through it.
Right.
But when you've lived through it, we understand, and we try to share it, to teach, because then we would do a program to kind of transition you to look out for these certain challenges, because it's still pitfalls in prep school.
Right, absolutely.
Many, and different ones.
Oh yeah.
You know, and some that can cost a lot.
Oh yeah.
You know, for your life. I mean, you know, especially, you know, socially, you know, how following rules.
I'm not gonna say a name, but a guy that was a part of my class, my boys club class. How do you guys handle when a kid gets kicked out?
We don't turn our back. Number one.
Good. Yeah.
We never turn our back. We sit down. We talk. We try to figure it out. Obviously, we're going to help, figure out how to help based on what happened. We try to, you know, see about doing it again next year, depending on the infraction or depending on where they are. I mean, if they're juniors going to the senior year, it's like, you know, let's just close this chapter, you know.
Right.
You know, but if they're young, we try to find another play. But it all depends. Everyone is different.
Right.
But we just never turn our back. I've never turned my back on anyone. Come to me with anything. I don't care what. Whether you got thrown out because you were in a girl's room, whether you got thrown out because you know, vaped, you know, whether you got thrown out because you cheated on a test. It happens. Doesn't define you for life.
Right.
It happened. Now let's see where we are and let's figure it out. Because at the end of the day, we want to continue to move forward. That's the ultimate plan and the goal. And, you know?
For sure. So I know you've been, you know, in education over 30 years. So you've dealt with many people, you know, whether it's teachers, administrators, parents. So I want to hold, but I'm about holding everybody accountable.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's easy to point the finger at the generation. Oh, this generation is hard-headed, or they don't listen, or, you know, just label them as a bunch of things, right? But I feel like everybody plays a role in a child's development, right? So how do we hold educators accountable?
By not prejudging. It depends where and that happens on any. You have educators at prep schools, hold them accountable. We're not putting stereotypes just because they're from, you know, not looking at them less than because they don't make as much money. You know, it's treating everyone equal. And listening is that's how I hold them accountable. Listening and always trying to be a resource for them and not shut the door to them because they make a mistake, and not believe that they can't because they look a certain way, or maybe they have a failing class. You know, always just try to be hopeful and promising and inspirational, and always listen, and always try to engage the family when at all possible, because it does take a village. But educators sometimes, you know, have to take care of themselves, because it is hard to be an educator. And depending where you are, whether it's you're in independent school, whether you're in a public school in the city or inner city school, I mean, you have to take care of your health, and you have to have your own support network. So educators sometimes they don't have all the answers. So you need support. They need support as well. So you need to seek out your support to have your other voice to listen to, other colleagues to talk to and hash out the issue, to get some different advice. Don't try to figure it out yourself, but also just listen and don't judge. You know, I always tell people, don't judge anyone. And I think educators shouldn't judge, and they should and also be resourceful. You can't do it alone. There's so many resources in New York City, everywhere. You just have to be a student and seek. One of the things I take a lot of pride in is connecting with other organizations, other programs, other services. Trust me, I know so many people and so many organizations, so many programs that if I can't help you, I will guide you somewhere else.
There you go.
And at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you valuable as an educator, as a mentor, as a friend. Right. And that holds for resources for parents too, especially today. Immigrant parents. I try to support them.
Right. So that's great. That's a great segue, because how do we hold parents accountable?
Parents have, it's hard to parent. I mean, first of all, take on the responsibility if you are a parent.
Right.
That's the first thing. It's the good and the bad, and it's not conditional. It's unconditional love that you have to have, and it's hard sometimes. And and obviously, I've had good examples because I had a wonderful mother and father who I felt very unconditional. And I mean, they were in the 70s and let me go away to prep school. They were just in the island in this country for only, maybe 5 years or so, 7 years. Well, longer, because I didn't go away till I was like, a teenager. Right. But still, it was very new back then. Right. And but they looked out for me before they looked out for themselves.
Amen. God bless them.
And I think parents need to do that. But I think it's unconditional love, man, and it's hard. Right. And seek help if you need it. And you're going to make mistakes because no one gave you a script on how to be a parent. Even though my parents showed me how to be a parent, but they were together. I was a single parent. Right. For all accounts, I was a single parent, and I made mistakes. Right. And it was hard. Right. You get home, you're tired, and you got to deal with everything going on, and oh my God, and and no one taught me this. I didn't jump into this to be a single parent. Right. But that's the way the cards were played, Right. But hey, I was still there. Right. And it's okay. You make mistakes. No one's perfect, but you will always try to be there and you do your best. And at the end, you want to feel that you did your best. It doesn't mean you're going to be the answer. Doesn't mean because there's one poem that I have from a book called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran that I always refer to. And it says, one quick phrase says, your children are not your children. They are but the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they're with you, they don't belong to you. They have you may give them your thoughts, but you may give them your love, but not your thoughts, because they have their own thoughts. Your kids have your own thoughts. You have two beautiful boys.
Thank you.
And they're going to be fine. But they're also going to go and find that they have a certain personality that's there. You can't teach it.
Right.
It's here. And eventually they'll start evolving. You'll hope to guide it. You hope to support it. But at the end of the day, you hope that they have that inside. Right. I think your guidance will and the mom and you guys being together for the sake of the boys is going to hold well for them. But they still individuals. Right. They still got their own spirit. Like you have two brothers. One is quiet and one is very loud.
Yeah, I think Lenny's personality is definitely coming out more. He's definitely quieter, but definitely not quiet. He shows up when he's comfortable. Yeah. Like Hendrix, he's deed out, as they say.
Yeah.
And Lennox, once he feels you out, that's it. There's no coming back.
Yeah.
So
and that's beautiful.
Right.
They should be. They're individuals.
And so, as a single parent, so what advice would you give to single parents? Because you were a single dad.
Yeah. No, I don't. I made some mistakes, and and I probably too much. But the advice I give is just hang in there, man, and seek out your grandparents. Their kids' grandparents, right? Because grandparents are very important now.
Super.
And my daughter had two wonderful grandparents.
Right. That's
and
amazing.
if it wasn't for them, I don't know what would have happened. But they were a stability for them. Because as much as I was single parent, I was like working all the time.
Right.
Going on, and I worked admissions. I worked college admissions. I worked placement. Right. I had to do college fairs at night. I had to travel to Westchester because I worked at SUNY Purchase.
Right.
Lived in Brooklyn. I couldn't until I was able to take my daughter to daycare. I would drive her an hour and a half every morning with me and put her at daycare on campus, which was beautiful. Right. But at the time, I couldn't. I wasn't moving to Westchester.
Right.
But my grandparents always, were there. Picked them up and took care of them, and then I would pick them up. So grandparents are real special.
Right.
you know, and just breathe and take care of yourself, and you know, listen to your guardian angel, and because I believe in guardian angels.
Right.
I've had, like you mentioned something, I've had guardian angels in my life all the time.
Right.
Always. I have guardian angels in my house. If you go to my house, you'll see guardian angels everywhere.
Right.
And my candles every day. I probably have gone now like 4, 5, 6 years without a candle not burning. Once it shuts, I put another one on. Never. I always have a candle in my house,
right.
whether it's a white candle, whether it's St. Jude, whether it's like whatever. I always have a candle, and that's the spirituality I have in me, and even my mom, which I always thought, she was spiritual, but I didn't know until one day when she, something happened to me, and she did something, and I was like, wow, I didn't know you were that deep, Mom,
Right.
But so I think that's important.
Right. So it's interesting you say that, because being in Bible study and then learning about, angels and guardian angels and things of that nature. So I learned that angels are appointed from God, mm-hmm. right? And then the second thing is knowing that, like, my parents aren't my guardian angels, mm-hmm. right? Because angels are appointed from God, right? So in the midst of losing my earthly father, I learned to and gain my heavenly father. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I've been at lately. You know what I'm saying? Just learning and doing the healing and doing the work. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get into the spiritual world, there's a lot of internal warfare, right? Like when they say there's a war outside, it ain't safe. Like that it's not always going to be something physical, like a bomb being dropped, right? But there's something spiritual, like there's an energy, there's a spirit out there, right? So if you look at the Bronx, right, there's the spirit of poverty, right? In a lot of men, the spirit of lust, is very evident, you know what I'm saying, very prominent. So it's like, we really gotta, use God as our source, you know what I'm saying, and really tap into Jesus Christ, because that's the source to God, you know what I'm saying. So it's been a beautiful journey.
No, that's great. So, I don't give titles. I think energy and spirit is something that doesn't, it's there.
Right.
You have to feel it, and you can call it whatever you want to call it. But I do believe, only guardian angel is the only biggest title I gave, because I've felt, a spiritual energy that protects me.
Right.
Because I've had, instances where I know I was protected.
Right.
And I know my guardian angel is so strong that she's protected my daughter all this time when she needed it, and anyone else, is close to me.
Right.
But and that's I just believe there's a higher source out there.
Right. So do you believe in God?
I believe in God because I grew up as I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school. I guess I believe in God. But I believe in energy, and I believe in the spirit, and I believe in someone higher being. Everyone has different names for God, but it's a spiritual being. Right. I don't want to get into like pigeonhole it like right. that, but I am very spiritual. I believe in someone protecting me. I believe in someone to talk to when I need help and guidance. My guardian, my candles are not because it's because it just brings me a physical presence of my spirituality, because I see it burn. It's clear, and I do pray. I mm-hmm. chant also, mm-hmm. And Buddhists chant. I just believe that we are here, and there's something out there that's protecting us, and you got to live a good life so then it protects you, mm-hmm. and you got to give back. I'm a guardian angel. Mm-hmm. I sometimes think I'm writing. I have some visions of a play and a movie about the work they do is kind of like a guardian angel. The work that anyone that guardian angel protects you. Guardian angel gave you an opportunity. A guardian angel, protects you, and I feel I've protected many people, and so I feel like I was brought on this earth to be a guardian angel. As crazy as it may seem, I never really talked about that, but I do believe that. So I believe in I believe in something.
Right. So going into like the big dogs of the schools, right? How do we hold administration accountable?
I don't try to be a backseat driver. There's a lot that goes on behind. There's from finances to you know, I don't even know about holding big dogs accountable. I mean, you know, if they can provide more access and obviously more financial support. Listen, families like us, we needed money to get into these schools.
Yes, sir.
You know, it doesn't mean we're less than. It doesn't mean that we can't. It just means this is the way, this is our life. You know, we're social economically, we're not the 1%ers, but we deserve to be there, and we deserve an education like them. And you don't have to get that because you can get an education by going to any school in any neighborhood. You know, at the end of the day, it may not come from the school. It may come from an after-school program, like the Boys Club, like Goddard Riverside, like any other program. You know, Bronx Works, whatever. You know, it's about you know, but I think, you know, education is expensive.
It is.
It's truly expensive. And, you know, we talk about college. We already know because everybody thinks about it and how much it costs. But, you know, it costs a lot to go to these schools. And even a Catholic school is going up a lot.
It's like 10, 12,000 a year.
Yeah, you go to Xavier, it's about 18,000, you know, 22,000 go to Xavier. You know, you go to Regis, you know, it's crazy, you know. And you go to, you know, obviously Suffield or Lawrenceville, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous. So we have to try to invest more in our future. We already know the 1%ers can afford it, and fine. They keep, and we know international students can afford it, and that's fine. They're getting it, but we know there's another group of people that can't afford it, and why should we hold them back? Let's try to figure out ways to subsidize and to support them, give them a chance so they can be a Rob, they can be a Lorenzo, they can be a Vinny, they can be a Sean Atkins, they can be a John Lopez, they can be a Manny, they can be an Antonio, they can be, you know, even Bill's son. You know, I don't know if you ever met Ben Mitchell.
He's a tough guy. Man. He ran practice for us one time. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what's wrong with him?
But you know, so many thousands, and not just from the program I work with. You know, I've you know, at the Boys Club, but even other programs. You know, I mean, one thing that people, and I'm going to just throw a little history lesson, and I'm always proud of it. You know, in the history of prep school placement, the Boys Club was the first one in the country to start prep school placement. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Back in 1957, they had the idea to start. But actually, in 1956, they started introducing it. In 57, they rolled it out. You know?
1957, yeah.
You know, and that's an important year because that's the year I was born. Give my age away. But it's okay. I'm embracing my age now. But
7, wow.
Yeah, I know. But then in the 70s, Prep for Prep approached the Boys Club to learn how to do this. ABC approached them, and then they provided technical assistance, and then they started doing it. They took it differently. Obviously, they do great work, but their kids to get into that have to be 95 average students. This IQ test.
You know, the Boys Club might have worked for me because I was a B plus athlete.
You know, but we stayed true to just working with kids and finding other areas that their grit, their perseverance, things that are very important, and showing that you can make it. And that's what we stayed focused on. So I forgot the question, but you know, I just wanted to give that lesson.
No, we were talking about administration.
So I just think, you know, just really looking at the whole person is so key. Don't judge somebody by a damn test score all the time. Judge them. I'd rather judge them by what they do every day in school, than a Saturday test in the morning that they've never been trained for or they've never seen before. And they've never been prepped. You know, we know families, especially, you know, the 1% or Asian families, they're prepping their kids to get into Stuyvesant from the day they're born. Almost. You know. So judge them on what they've done all years. Judge them on their story, that they've overcome all these obstacles, and now you're going to put them in a place where they don't have these obstacles. Man, they're going to blow up. They're going to blow up.
Yeah, that was exactly it. And, I had no problems that stuff. It was great.
Right. Because now you're not. Now you going to school. You're making friends. You feel safe. You're not dealing with other things. You're not looking at other. You're just, you know, there's a system, and you feel comfortable, and people are, and you're being heard. You know.
Right. So who poured into you for you to be able to pour into us? So, like, from example, I had you, Manny, Sean. Shout out to Jay Lopez. Who's the guy? I don't want to say Perky Omen. He got glasses. And Michael something. He was Sean, John Lopez.
Augusto.
There you go, Mike Augusto. Shout out to him. That was my guy. So then, who were those?
Petty. It was Petty.
Petty. There you go. I would say procurement. I know it was a P.
Yeah.
So who were those people in your life?
My mom, my dad.
Right.
Honestly, my mom and my dad, and then my coaches. You know,
Right.
Obviously my basketball coach. I think, and then my coaches in prep school, because I think they taught me a lot about sports and life. But my mom and my dad, at the end of the day, because they were unconditional, and you know, and now, you know, my partner, you know, my sisters always,
Right.
but my mom and my dad,
Right.
I got it, and my aunt, because I had an aunt that was like my second mom, and she was cool, and she passed. I cried like I lost my mom. She was like my second mom, and she was very important in my life too, because she allowed me to come to the Bronx, because she moved to the Bronx, and that's why I met many artists, guys that gave me books like you know, Brave New World, Siddhartha. These are books that I got at 13, you know, Taller Boricua, which is a bunch of Puerto Rican artists that really created a movement in visual arts. And that was his older brother, so I went to go stay in the gallery. You know, music, playing congas on the corner, you know, because the guy, Izzy, he had congas and we we started, you know, all this stuff. So I give props to my aunt as well.
Right. So, you know, I'm a dean today, and you know, I love my students, and one thing I know for the youth, young children, young kids, it's sometimes hard to trust people because you don't know, like, if there's an ulterior motive or like what's the agenda or what's the catch, right? But I never felt like that with you or Bill or anyone. So I want to show you today for one of the reasons why I am today, right? I met you 18 years ago, right? I'm 33. I was 15 when I met you. Right, a few weeks ago, you called me just to tell me how proud of me.
Oh yeah.
So why'd you do that?
I think it was an episode that I saw or something that you did on Instagram.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just felt I've just been, over the years, I've been seeing your commitment and your willingness to give to community, and your sincerity, right. and you've accomplished a lot. And I feel it's not about the wealth; it's about your heart. And I just felt proud of you. You know,
Thank you.
It was so spontaneous and so organic, and so really hit me that I just had to respond. It was that strong.
Right. Thank you.
You know? And I just had, you know, wasn't no motive. It's just like I felt it, man. I said, man, I'm proud of this guy. I just got to tell him.
Thank you. You know, like just like the generation, like you calling me and me calling a Zion, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like Zion, Brandon Leftwich, Jalen Sinclair. That's that whole era. You know what I'm saying?
Those guys are wonderful.
Right, exactly.
Guys,
you know, and I was like 20, 21, you know. So just to see them in their mid 20s, you know, still talking, you know.
Sports, they're doing their thing, man.
Yeah, you know, so from me to you, from me to them, you know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the last two questions. So we finally got into the end of the episode.
Sure.
So what would be your message to your younger self?
My younger self, my message would be to believe in myself more, to trust myself more, and to not be, and be less afraid. Because I think I was afraid at the time and fearful of things, and was afraid to, and be less afraid and take some more chances.
Right. Right. And as always, what would be your message to the youth?
Man, just keep plugging away. Keep being a good person. Find good people around you. Listen. Work hard. Very cliche, but also, you know, be healthy. Stay healthy. Eat well. At least I think get sleep. Right. You know, and be a sponge. I always talk about being a sponge. And just if someone extends their hand sincerely, grab it. Don't turn your back on an opportunity. You know, there are good people out there that want to help you, and when they come to you, don't turn your back to it. You know, you should feel good. You know that someone's going to help you and take advantage of it. You know? Totally.
So, once again, you know, 2026, making it happen. Boarding School Fair, Manhattan Business Academy, 351 West 18th Street, New York City. Wednesday, May 13th, from 4:30 to 7 p.m.
I made it. Thank you so
You know,
much.
any shout outs, websites, you know, your business, Pivotal LLC, all of those things. Like, where can we find you?
Well, obviously, you know, we're creating our website, but it's going to be Pivotal Moments Unlimited LLC. You know, my partner's mercadoproject.org. I think it's a great website to talk about salsa and legacy. Latino College Expo, LatinoCollege-Expo.org. You know, I'll give props, BCNY.org.
Right.
You know, I think it's a great program for young men, you know, especially now, the new one in the Bronx that really trying to make their mark. You know, and that's it. That's it.
For sure. So, you know, as always, you know, thank you for your time. I love you. Thank you for everything. And, you know, for everybody out there, make sure you stay tuned, like, subscribe, and comment. And stay tuned for this one. This one's really special, near and dear to my heart. Education is why I love education, you know, and I love everything that I do. And why I show up for my students is because of the men like this that showed up in my life. So I'm forever grateful. And thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you.